Hello, how y'all doing? I'm going to talk about the Legacy Center in San Diego, California. Now, it's hot and I'm itching. Okay. Now, the way I see God is that among his other attributes is that he's a compassionate businessman. Now, is this a God idea or is that a man's idea? Okay? Is marketed as a God idea. And I'm telling you that once an evangelist says that I had a vision, God showed me this. And once the evangelist says that, Christians are hooked. Well, if it's a God idea, I'm going to give my money to it, okay? And because God's going to give it back to me somehow. But once they say it's a God idea, God gave me a vision, then once they say that, is this a done deal, really? Now, all the real estate in San Diego is prime real estate, and all of it is very expensive. Now, the Lord knows the situation in San Diego. He knows there's a Skid Row in San Diego. So why would the Lord tell someone to build an edifice, an opulent building / resort, with no regard to the Skid Row situation in San Diego or poor people in San Diego in general? Why would he tell them, okay, build an edifice to me and forget about the poor people on Skid Row, forget about those poor people over there, just build me an edifice? Why would he do that? I don't think he would. The God I serve would be compassionate toward the people on Skid Row, toward the poor. He would say, the God I serve would say, take care of these poor people first, get them off of Skid Row, get them housing, etc., and then you can build a building, because he cares about the poor. The God I serve would not say, look, forget about those people on Skid Row, forget about those poor people, just build me an edifice at any cost. I don't care what it costs, just build me this edifice. And build me this edifice with no consideration whatsoever for the poor. That's right down the street from it. Now, the approximate cost to build this building was $200 million, and I submit this probably actually in reality is double that, $400 million. But that's what's on social media, $200 million. How was it financed? It was financed by poor people, poor Christians looking for hope, as usual. Because rich people do not give to churches. And the irony is that poor people can't even probably afford to go to that Legacy Center or / resort. Probably can't even afford to go to it. Just like poor people built the Vatican. Poor Christians built the Vatican, and today can't even afford to go to the Vatican, to even visit the Vatican. Okay? And so poor people have always built the Vatican. They have built all these mega churches in the United States and around the world. They have built, poor Christians have built all of these churches. And so the irony is that poor people can't even afford to go to these buildings. Poor people can hardly afford to even go to the mega churches, because really they're always putting you under pressure to $100 seed offering, seed faith offering, $1,000 seed faith offering, and you got to make a decision whether you're going to give something to the church or you're going to food, okay? So actually, poor people cannot afford to go to the Vatican, the Legacy Center, or these mega churches, hardly. Now, how was it marketed? Well, it was marketed. And you first have to understand that poor Christians are always looking for hope. Christians are always looking for hope. If an evangelist says, if I'm going to believe God for 1 million people to give $1,000 each or $2,000 each, that's $1 billion right there to build it, okay? So you're going to believe that. You're going to believe, okay, if I give $1,000, take this money out of my children's mouth and give $1,000, I'm not worried about it because God's going to give me back $10,000. But guess what? God's not going to respond to a gimmick. He's not going to respond to a gimmick. He just isn't. But they're going to market that. If you donate to it, God's going to give you back 30, 60 fold, 100 return. I know, because I've been there, done that in these churches. I saw a vision. God gave me a vision. That is all they have to say. God gave me a vision, and you are hooked. hooked. If you're a poor Christian, you are hooked on that. Okay, you definitely going to donate, and they know that too. Okay, because advertising is really psychological. Advertising techniques are psychological techniques, really. And they're going to keep at it 24/7. They're going to keep at it on the internet 24/7 until you're just going to give them some money just to keep their mouth shut. Every time on all the internet, they're going to ask you for money for this building. And you're just going to get so tired of it, you're just going to give it to them for good measure. Okay? Now, if I have seen some of the visuals of this Legacy Center, and everybody, all the depiction of all the biblical characters are white. Jesus is white. I think I saw one token dark-skinned disciple. One token. The rest of them are white. In this picture, I think I saw one token dark-skinned disciple. The rest of them are white. All the patriarchs of the Bible are white. Moses, Jacob, Abraham. All their depictions are white. It's totally Eurocentric. All the Israelites are depicted as white. Everything is Eurocentric. So that kind of puts me off right there as a person, as a black person, as a person of African descent, and a person of color, if you will. Now, why would the Lord do this? Now, he knew there was going to be a pandemic, because God knows. The Lord knew there was going to be a pandemic. Why would the Lord tell these men to build him an edifice right in the middle of a pandemic? Because they are losing money constantly, because whatever the rules of state of California is, that you cannot have 10 people in any one gathering or whatever the rules are, I don't know. But they are losing money every day because you cannot go down there and gather. And like I said, I don't think poor people can even afford to go in there. Can't even afford to use it as a result. Now, it was built on the backs of poor people, but rich people can only afford to go to it. How ironic is that? So in my opinion, this edifice, this Legacy Center is constantly losing money because there can't be any gatherings. Okay, whatever the rules are, and the Lord knew they were going to lose money in the middle of a pandemic, of course. There's hardly any visitors at all. Okay, so since God created the heavens and the earth, and He's an organized person, why would He say build an edifice and it's empty? Why would the Lord do that? That doesn't make any sense. That's poor planning. Okay, and besides that, this building is at or near the St. Andreas Fault, and when there's an earthquake, that's going to quake too. But why would God build a big, opulent edifice building not far from Skid Row, not far from extremely poor people who are living in tents? Why would He do that? That doesn't make any sense. Why would He build an edifice near a garbage dump? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, why would He say build me a building near the garbage dump of Skid Row, where there's rats, all kinds of filth of the humankind, just all kinds of filth. You can't even breathe the air. And why would He say build me a building right next to a garbage dump? That doesn't make any sense. Why would God say build me a building right at or near the St. Andreas Fault? That doesn't make any sense. It just makes, so my conclusion is that this was not a God idea. This was man's idea. Okay, but why not just say it? We want to build it. Just be honest about it. We want. Just be honest and say why you want the building. Okay, you want a monument to yourself. Okay, just be truthful. Have a nice day.